How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen, which had a green day on the Friday, being up 7.84%. So you guys know I have to make an update video to get you ready for the coming week. I won't be wasting any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support, we want to know resistance, we want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information. The reason why this is important, because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Mullen. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $1.10, being up 7.84%. On the low, it tested 98 cents, and then on the high, testing $1.10. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 51.215 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 60.675 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 40.87. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. And it's clear to see that Mullen is in a bear market, trading below all of our major moving averages. But one thing that is interesting, it seems like Mullen has been holding support decently well right here at this 98-cent level. So if you're bullish on the play, you want to see a continuation of that, most preferably a higher low, maybe testing support at the most around $1. It did have a high of $1.10, and if you are aware, the 21-day EMA is at 125. And I was saying, if you want to see any sort of a reversal or showing that bulls are really buying into this play, you need to move right there. So around 125, previously it was around 130. So if it's able to get to those levels, that's where it can get very interesting. And if it can get above 151, you can look forward to that move to 189, which is around the 50-day moving average. If we have weakness in these markets, or if we decide to pull back, again, you're just going to want to see Mullen wanting to hold up that 90-cent range, the mid to high area. But if it ends up breaking through these levels, you already know what it looks like. And what that can look like would have some support kicking in at the 80-cent range. And like I said previously, you'd want to look for a bounce off of 75 cents, because that's what occurred previously. And we ended up having a pretty strong run up going back to the $1 range off 75. So that is the area you want to keep an eye on. And of course, if we broke through 75, you'd want to see 73 hold. And if 73 doesn't hold, Mullen will be trading in the 50-cent range. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the short interest information from Mullen. So the off exchange short volume ratio is at 28.96%. And then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 9.03 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.8 million, updated 19 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow free rate, it is at 3.91%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 19th, it was at 23.03. And then for the close of the 20th, being at 28.96. So right away, when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 13.88%, Mullen does have short squeeze potential. But one thing to keep in mind, we need to have a lot of buying volume coming into the play. The criteria we normally look for is around 14%. So if we round it off to the whole number, we could say that, you know what, it did meet our criteria. But that's just one thing you want to keep in mind. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution from Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it was at 12.01 million, and on the outflow, it was at 11.58 million. So we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 3.64 million. On the medium, it was 6.57 million. And then on the small, it was 1.80 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 3.14 million. On the medium, it was 6.66 million, and then on the small, it was 1.78 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see from May the 20th, we had that inflow of just over 500,000. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, it represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more buying than we had selling. Like I said, it was an inflow day. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 15.41%. No surprises there. We know that Mullen is a volatile stock. It also did have a catalyst, and it's part of the reasons why I was able to post up a strong day. I'll talk about it inside of the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for Mullen, before we start talking about the price action, so the news that came out on the Friday, they ended up hiring a president of international operations. And for investors, this is definitely some great news. The company is moving forward, making sure that they have the right management team in place to make sure they can fulfill the promises and deliver value to shareholders. So this is part of the reasons why we saw a lot of momentum coming into the play. Now, when we talk about the price action, so it ended up seeing a high of $1.10. So this is a level you want to keep watching. If we could break above 110, I want to see that move to the 21-day EMA, which is currently at $1.25. If you remember in the previous videos, it was around $1.34. So taking that into consideration, that's only 15 cents higher from where it closed. So if we're able to actually close at 125, I'd want to see bulls wanting to step in. If they're able to do that, then the next resistance level is around 151, or I should say $1.51. And if we could break above that level, you want to see if you can get to the 50-day moving average, which is around $1.89. We've talked about that many times already. As far as where it tested on the low, it was around 98 cents. So if it was going to break through this level, of course, it would test somewhere in the 80s. And then, of course, if you're looking for a bounce off of 75, where it tested recently, that's where it can get very interesting. We want to see those bulls stepping in at that 75, 76 level like they did previously in the past, and then run the stop back up above $1. So I know many people ask me, what would be another entry point to get in for a swing trade? And I would look at it like this. I would not be wanting to buy the stock while it's trading over $1. That's just my personal opinion. You guys already know those levels to the downside, so do your homework, do your research, and find out the right entry that is best for you. Also, we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information. Even though it is below our criteria of 14% as far as for the short interest percentage of the float, since it's at 13.88%, but if we're going to be rounding up to the nearest whole number, I guess we could say that it is 14%. So the moment it falls actually fully below 13%, that's when I'll take it off of saying, well, you know what, it has short squeeze potential. But one thing that is clear though, if we have a lot of buying volume coming into the play, Mullen can take off very quickly. There's a lot of attention around this play, especially when it gets catalyst. But we also have to understand the fact, if we are traders, if you're green in the play, do not hesitate to protect your profits. There's always an opportunity for another entry. There's no point riding the elevator. Take advantage of those opportunities when they do occur. We've been talking about Mullen for quite some time on this channel, and I've gotten the messages from a lot of you saying that, yo, Dre, thank you. I've been able to trade this play successfully, making money going in and out. But for my investors out there, continue to take advantage of those dips when they do occur. There is no reason to be buying this stock when it's having a strong run up or when it's putting up a green day. It's always best to buy on those red days and so forth at the price points that you are looking for. But overall, it was great to see that Mullen had a strong day on the Friday. Let's see if that continues for the coming week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.